Welcome back to Don't Panic, the show where we try not to panic. But this is the first time Chris and I are in the same room. Chris,
Yeah.
what's up, buddy?
What's up, man? How are you?
Doing
Thanks
well.
For, having me here at your amazing crib.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun time and should be fun. Do this episode live and I think it's the first time I've actually met you
In person.
Spoken, yeah, for essentially when COVID started.
Yeah.
And
I'm considerably more intimidating in person.
yeah, but it should be fun. A lot of things to talk about.
Yeah.
Flyers have played well and
Don't tell Twitter, but yes.
yeah, they played well.
Don't tell anybody.
Penguins tonight.
Yeah.
No Crosby, no Dumoulin.
No Malkin.
Still no Malkin either. Still no Ellis.
Still no Ellis. Still no Hayes.
Yeah.
Still no Allison.
They're still winning games.
Is Allison skating?
He did skate.
Yeah. I thought I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
That's also, I think that's an underestimated addition to this team because
For sure.
we're not really weak at the wings right now. So, you kind of forget about it. And especially McEwen's actually looked really good.
Yeah.
Which I knew, I had a feeling.
The fourth line's played really good lately, though.
I think I really believe Zach McEwen is the reason for that. He's been good.
I think he's the play driver.
He's been the best player on the line. I think Thompson has actually done a good job as well.
Good.
Yeah, I would actually say better than the last time here.
It's really motivating.
Yes,
I noticed he posts on Instagram a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
Posting like there's 4 pictures of just him from recent games.
That's true,
which
dude.
is a good thing, and it's kind of weird. And I know it's a weird thing to think about, a guy posts on his Instagram, but when do you see that a lot out of hockey players, constantly?
That's true.
What I mean?
I guess I did see him, but I would say there's more stuff now.
Yeah.
From him.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that McEwen is bringing out Thompson's best side.
I think same with Albie Bell. I think.
Yeah.
Because
I think Zach McEwen's here to stay. To be honest with you, I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, and I thought Brown played good in the 2 games in Vancouver and Calgary.
I thought he is exactly what I thought he is. Where defensively he's sound, but you get him in the offensive zone, and he's not really going to give you much.
He's kind of like the hands of stone.
He's kind of like Nate Thompson a little bit too. And I think that's why Albie Kubel is back in the lineup,
right? Because
Albie Kubel does have an offensive upside where he could potentially be a 10. Maybe even one day 15 goal scorer in the NHL. And I don't think Brown necessarily has the ability to score above 10.
I mean, Evie did say he's exactly what he was.
Yeah. It's a good back. He's a guy who I think can replace Thompson if Thompson gets injured or something. But I think Zach McEwen is, thank God we have him because without Allison, he's doing a lot of that role.
Right.
Physicality wise, just Allison can be a goal scorer too.
Right. And it's also the physical presence he brings. Risto is one of our bigger guys. McEwen's huge.
The Flyers are, for the first time, though, I don't think they're hitting enough, and I don't think they're physical enough. I do think that this is the first time in a while that they're not a team that you're going to come into our building and out-muscle us, fight us, embarrass people physically. Though I did see Phil Kessel kind of shove Sanheim off the puck the other night. And that was man, that is the one thing that holds Sanheim back the most. He's just not strong.
Yeah. And
he's never been strong, but still.
And I saw people have said that's, and everybody shits on Sanheim just about every game he plays.
I don't understand why.
But when I look at it that play specifically, because I remember that, and I'm like, dude, if Kessel gets this, and that's exactly what he did, just went right around him.
He just shoved him off. He shrugged him off.
But Sanheim also did try to catch the puck, and I think it hit off his glove, so he was kind of backspin stuck.
Well, I think that's most. I don't actually think Sanheim is a weak guy. I think he doesn't know how to play physically very well. I'm hoping that
you said that last year with him and Myers.
Yes,
they're both our bigger defensemen.
Yes,
and they don't play like it.
Yes,
especially in front of the net. That was the problem last year.
Risto does, so I'm hoping that some of that can rub off on him. Needs to hit the gym. Look, we'll pull it up here. So, look, Sanheim, he has a slight frame. He's a skinny guy to begin with. He's still young. Don't listen to what people say. You do not grow in your body for a while. You still got a couple years probably left. I don't think he's ever going to be a big, strong dude, but he doesn't have to be. Nicholas Lindstrom was not a big, strong dude. It's really, he has to get better at using his body positioning. He should be strong enough in his lower body to compensate for the fact that he's not that strong up top. He doesn't need to be Ristolainen, right? He just needs to be a guy who doesn't get boxed out,
right?
Essentially.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Like, I feel like he has the talent to make himself recover on those plays too.
Absolutely. He's got the speed.
Right. And it's not like you're going to notice it all the time, but like, it just, like, everybody's just like so negative on that pairing every time they're on the ice.
And they're a plus. They're a plus pairing at this point.
Yeah, I think they're plus. And I think, honestly, one of their best games was against Vancouver. Both of them, like, as a pairing, I thought they were fantastic.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I've loved from the Provorov and Braun pairing since Ellis has been out, is you never hear their name. Never, because they're never in like a bad spot.
We were talking about it earlier. I'm going to give credit to Jason Martinez, who pointed this out, that I believe that Provorov has not been on the ice for a single 5-on-5 goal against.
Mm-hmm.
So for those people who are shitting on Provorov, while he's not producing offensively, which I think is more just weird luck than it is anything, and I don't expect that to stick, he's been playing very well.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
I noticed with Provorov is his active stick. As soon as somebody's over the blue line, right away. And again, one of the biggest problems last year was their rush defense. I think they gave up, what were they, like 27th in the league in rush defense, goals against or something like that. Like, and like their gap control wasn't good, and just everything. It was just a mess.
The entire team play was a fucking disaster last year.
It was.
Yeah, Sanheim's was he +3?
Yeah.
And what's his name? Where's Risto? Is it even?
Even. Yeah.
Okay, that's not too bad considering Risto has not produced offensively at all.
No.
But that's okay. I mean, like
he's not really here for offense.
I mean, but a few guys on the team have not produced, and we're going to talk about the Phantoms a little bit later. And there's some guys that are shockingly have not produced, like Bunneman. And I do want to talk about that. He's got 0 points in 8 games.
Wow.
Like you don't even really notice it, and you're like, this guy was an NHL player.
I haven't really kept up with the Phantoms.
Yeah.
Thing. Like
I haven't got. Maybe we got to split the AHL package because I haven't gotten that this year.
We might have to do that.
All right, let's start at the West Coast trip because this is how we wanted to do it.
Right.
Keep the comments, guys. We are reading them. Yeah. It's just a little hard because we're looking at each other.
Yeah.
Where normally we're looking at the screen.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna start with the Edmonton game. Let's pull up the stats here. All right, cool. Yeah. So the Flyers lose the game. Win the game 5-3. Thank God. I'm screwing it up. That you know what I mean? They had 34 shots. Oilers had 37. Flyers won the face-off percentage. By the way, Giroux is second in the league in face-offs. No shocker there.
One thing in that game with the face-offs is last couple minutes when it was 1 goal, Giroux won 4 straight defensive zone face-offs on his side of the ice against McDavid or Draisaitl. And ended up icing the game.
But he's only an 87 in NHL.
We were just talking about that too. We're looking through the lines. We're like, how the hell is like Farabee only an 84?
I'll be honest
JVR
with
is an 86.
If you improve the Flyers more in that game though, and you give Hart what his actual rating should be, which is my opinion at least an 86, the Flyers are by far the best team in the game. So and you actually see it reflected. So I think there's some truth to what they're doing, but there's also some adjustments where I'm like, I just don't agree with this. Like
JVR is ranked higher than Farabee and Atkinson.
JVR is ranked higher than Provorov. And in what world is JVR a better player than Provorov?
Yeah,
he's never been a better player, even day one.
Yandel is higher than Provorov. Right?
Is equal.
Equal. They're both 85.
I don't understand how he's an 85 and Braun's an 80. Yeah. And how is Risto rated higher than Sanheim? It should be identical.
Yeah, it should be both 84.
And he still has an elite potential. And I'm like, he has a higher potential than Ellis.
Right.
He's got a top 4 potential.
Yeah.
It's just like things like that are just so annoying.
Right.
If they can go the fact, and if those guys who play NHL and aren't aware of this, they are releasing custom rosters for the first time. So we're gonna see fan created rosters. We'll see if they're better or worse than what EA does. I suspect we'll see the full spectrum
coming.
My guess is probably around Christmas. That's my guess.
Yeah.
They just released a big update today, so I would imagine it's going to take them a little bit longer. They're probably still working on it. Right. So the Edmonton game, again, this is a few nights ago, but the Flyers definitely came up with a big win there. You know what I mean? Obviously, Coots and Drew.
Was crazy too.
I actually missed the first and the second period of this game.
The first period it wasn't bad for the Flyers. Like it was pretty even. The only bad things they did was they took 3 penalties and they had turnovers in bad spots. Like if they had a turnover, say right at their blue line, it was like McDavid and Puljujarvi went in. They had a chance on a 2-on-1, and I think Puljujarvi flubbed the shot. They had a couple chances, but like their power play goal. Well, I think the one thing too was they had an opening power play in the first like I don't know maybe 40 seconds of the game, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, here we go. You're on national television on TNT, and you're going up against the Oilers, and Ristolainen takes a penalty, which was a horrible call too. It was a very weak call on him. It was a high stick where it wasn't even like his stick from his bottom hand down. It was like the cross check that just came up. Well, they call it. I think that was arguably the best penalty kill I think they've had the all season.
Yeah,
they blocked just about every lane, like 6 shots.
And they did have 26 blocks.
Yeah, that's the big thing. That was the big like the eye grabber on the stats is the block shots.
Yeah,
they had a lot, and Hart made some good saves. I mean, if it wasn't for Hart, that first period could have been maybe 3-3, 4-3 Oilers.
Yeah,
if the Flyers didn't score, but they had a couple rush goals. Fourth line got a goal. Koskinen didn't look good.
Yeah,
all 4 of those goals were pretty weak.
Well,
which is good.
Flyers also made him look that way because his numbers are good.
Right.
And so you can't say that's like Jeremy Swayman, even though he didn't have his best game with the Flyers made him look that way.
Yeah.
There is a lot to that as well. Like there's a lot going on there, not just the shot on net. Like we could said that same thing about that game that Hart, first game of the season where Hart gave up some bad goals.
Right.
But at the same time, they had complete dominance in the second period, Vancouver.
Right.
They made us look that way. They literally took all momentum. Momentum is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Intimidation is a huge part of it. And quite frankly, like the Oilers haven't lost to anybody since the Flyers.
No.
So,
yeah,
they're
8-1. They just beat Nashville last night.
Yeah,
5-2, I think.
Yeah.
I can't believe actually beat Calgary.
Yeah,
overtime.
I saw that. I can't believe that.
Heavily outshot though.
Yeah, like I saw 20 shots in the first period.
Really?
For Calgary,
Holy
they had 20 shots in the first period. I saw that Carolina won anyway last night. They were down.
Yeah,
and they won.
Chicago.
They beat Chicago. Son of a bitches.
Yeah.
Fucking assholes.
They're the only team that I'm like not legitimately worried about, but I'm like, okay, this is going to get worrisome.
I think Florida is still incredibly intimidating.
Yeah.
Just as intimidating as I think the Hurricanes
I also do think
can be beaten.
That the Flyers gave Florida their probably the best test for them was the Flyers game. I haven't seen many of their other games,
and that's without Ellis.
It's without Ellis
and Hayes and without Allison.
Yeah.
I think if this team can get healthy, like you're talking about, we can match up against any team in the National Hockey League.
I don't disagree. I mean, like
getting those 2 players back is immense.
Yeah. And again, I think the one thing is like it does. I don't want to make it like that the second line has been bad, but it's just like the offensive production has obviously went down.
Well,
because they were on fire to start the season.
It's because of the play driving.
Right. I was just gonna say
there's not a lot of I think Brassard.
Yeah, because we were talking about this in the car. It was Brassard.
Yes.
And it's nothing against Brassard.
He's not a top 6 forward anymore.
No, he's
and it's showing.
Yeah.
But neither is Lawton.
No.
So you're not really doing that unless Frost makes his way up. But I don't think they're gonna do that. I think Hayes is pretty close to coming back. I think they're going to go on this road trip, and they're going to look for next week to try to get Hayes in the lineup.
I saw Charlie O'Connor had said something that maybe Hayes might be back next week now.
Yeah, that's what I was anticipating.
Yeah, but not next week, the week after, like around the 14th.
It's possible too, man. I don't know. I mean, I don't think the Ellis thing is some kind of like detrimental injury.
Yeah,
I think it's just taking longer to heal, and I think they're like, well, we're winning right now.
Right.
So why would we rush him back? Like guys are playing well.
Right.
I do think
played good in his absence. There's no point to rush him back.
I think that plays a lot into this. So like this is a long season, and quite frankly, if we force him back now, maybe he's not 100%, and he aggravates it even worse.
I think it's also
you lose him for longer.
Right, and they did say it's the same injury from the preseason.
Okay,
that he with when him and Ristolainen were out at the same time, and it was like, who's going to play? And then Ristolainen was good, Ellis was good to go. Ristolainen wasn't.
Yeah.
And then Ristolainen playing that first game against Boston.
Yeah.
So it's the re-aggravating thing. But he was never really hurt beforehand. Like he had even said it in his media availability when he came here.
Yeah.
He wasn't really hurt with something different last year. It was a finger.
Yeah.
It wasn't the shoulder. So this is a completely different thing.
Well, this is a lower body thing.
Yeah.
So
it's a lower body. It's completely different.
Well, good thing it's not a concussion. Honestly, I think realistically, it probably has something to do with his feet. Like uncomfortability.
I think he blocked a shot at one point.
I think it has something to do with his feet, and I think it's probably swelling. So he can like kind of play on it, and they're waiting for swelling to go down. Mm-hmm. That's my guess, but it's really a blind guess. Right. I have no idea.
And I feel like the long-term thing too also has to deal with the goaltending.
Yeah.
Like with starting Jones and starting Hart, because I had somebody ask me like, why do you think they're starting Jones? And this was last Thursday.
Which game?
Vancouver.
Yeah.
When they started Jones. And I'm like, well, you got to think long term. And like, they got 16 back-to-backs.
And Jones has played well.
Right. Jones played well the last game. You have 16 back-to-backs this season, and you have essentially a full month off in the Olympic break.
Why wouldn't they play Jones?
Right. Game?
It's a weak. It's not a terrible opponent. It's a weaker opponent. Mm-hmm. It makes complete. It's a back-to-back game.
Yeah.
It literally makes complete sense to play Jones.
Start time.
I would actually say if they played Hart, that would be the mistake.
Yeah.
They'd be like, you're forcing it. It's not a must-win game.
And Calgary was also, I believe they were 4-0 at the time. Then they won the same night the Flyers did to make them 5-0 going into the Saturday.
Yeah. Game. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think Calgary played a perfect game against us.
I don't even think it was anything the Flyers didn't do. It was literally Calgary was that good.
No, I think it's a combination of both. I do think the Flyers were exhausted. I think they can bring it much better than them. I think they can beat Calgary, but I think Calgary was on their A game.
Yeah, and we're seeing Calgary again soon.
Yeah,
so
that'll be
at
test.
Home. And that's also the retirement night for Holmgren and Tocchet.
Okay, it's gonna be a big game. Hopefully, we have, dude. I feel like getting Kevin Hayes in this lineup. It's like we forget he was injured last year. That like a healthy Kevin Hayes when it comes to play driving is like. It's like a whole nother thing. Sorry, I'm trying this up.
All good.
Why is it frozen?
A little bit.
There we go.
Possibility trading for Tarasenko.
I would get out of your mind.
Yeah.
I
saw this on Twitter too.
But that's because that trade was close because Voracek was involved.
Right.
Now Voracek is gone and Atkinson is here. That is your Tarasenko.
Another thing the thing too is why would St. Louis trade Tarasenko after their start there?
And they're in first place. Yeah. I think potentially you still could get traded, but they're not. We don't.
Imagine he goes to Vegas.
Well, what are we gonna get? What would we give for Tarasenko?
Konechny.
Okay, but then we have to take $3 million in cap for an aging guy with injury histories. Yeah. It's like
just another shooter.
It's not happening. Maybe JVR. You know what? Let's say that if JVR is going the other way, it's potentially. It's a potential.
Into a year when you have 11 points out of a possible 16.
I would say it's.
I
say it's unlikely because I think the Flyers are going to try to move on from JVR pretty soon, and I think Giroux. I think Claude Giroux is getting re-signed by the Flyers. I think what we're watching right now. No. I think what we're watching right now is the team was like, oh, okay, we'll give you a 2-year contract. And he's probably like, I want a 4-year contract. Right. And they're like, well, we don't know how much you have left. And now he looks the way he looks. And they're like, uh-oh, because we got to give him contract.
There was a shift in the Edmonton game where he had a defensive zone draw, same side, like his best side was on the right side. And he lost it. And there was a play where he went up with, I think it was Yamamoto, and he slashed his stick so hard it broke Giroux's own stick. Like he was that pissed, just losing the draw.
Dude, that's Claude Giroux is immensely competitive.
And I had asked Jason Martinez, I'm like, I'm not the only one that's like seen like.
Dude, I see him do this shit all the time.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not the only one that's seen like how aggressive this guy is. He's like, yeah, like goals equals dollars. I'm like, bingo. Like he's trying to get a bigger deal.
Absolutely,
he should. He's playing well.
They probably offered him less than he's worth.
Edmonton game.
The Flyers going to have to get rid of JVR's contract. It's going to have to happen.
Yeah, I mean, well, especially with the cap.
They would even consider buying him out rather than letting Giroux walk.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to come to that because 1 year left on that deal. I do think it's movable, but you might have to take another player in return for that last year. But maybe maybe he's not that good, and maybe he makes like $3 million a year or whatever, like half of what JVR makes, 3.5. But I could see that happen.
But yeah, like and going off of the Edmonton game, like,
I don't know how you let G go.
No, it's stupid.
Look at the way he's second on the team in points.
Yeah,
he's scored like every game.
Yeah,
he's got points every game.
Like the team is obviously in win.
He's on pace for 100 points.
Yeah, and the team is in win now mode. Why would you get rid of him? It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
You did all of this last season to build for this year, and you're like get rid of your captain.
I think the only reason he's not signed because they didn't offer him enough money.
I don't blame him.
And he's betting on himself. He's like, no, all right, then I'm going to go out and show you that I deserve the term and the money.
You're wrong.
I don't want $5 million a year.
Yeah,
I want
6.5.
I want 6.5, 7.
Yeah.
And I think that they're like, okay, well, show us.
Right. And he's like, okay.
Then I will.
Yeah.
Great. And honestly, you could even think of it from the Flyers actually being pretty smart about it and being like, we're probably going to give him what he wants anyway because we don't want him to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But maybe we can squeeze a great season out of him too to not give him that job security.
Yeah. And there probably are guys that they're not going to bring back next year. Like JVR's could be one.
Well, he's still signed for one more year, but they have to find a way to get rid of him.
Yeah, they trade him. And then you also
I think they're going
Braun too.
I think Braun would potentially be coming back.
Brassard, Yandel, Thompson.
The way Braun has looked here,
I think McEwen, they're all on 1-year deals.
McEwen's definitely getting re-signed.
I hope so. If he continues the way he's playing now,
I think Brown. I think there's a good chance Brown will be in the AHL next year.
Could be. He was captain of Henderson. Vegas's
exactly. I think, and he makes less than $1 million, so you easily slide him down. I think Albay Kubel might be the guy who gets moved.
And that's the thing. It's like
for a pick, not for not a dump.
No,
but we'll see. I could be wrong.
There is value to Albay Kubel.
I just think McEwen is easily taking his spot.
Yeah. Well, no,
has already taken his spot.
And
his role.
Even when Allison is healthy, it's like, man,
yes.
Could you imagine Allison with Thompson and McEwen? How good that line would be?
That's actually an interesting question. That's actually an interesting question.
Like, it's another offensive player. McEwen.
Here's another question for you.
Like,
who's better, JVR or Allison?
I mean,
last year JVR was excellent.
So was Allison though in the sample size games,
especially at the end of the season.
Yeah, what did he play? 14 games.
Yeah, when the games don't matter though, it's a little bit different.
Right.
It's a little bit different.
Well, that's not necessarily true. They didn't really matter because they were still not mathematically eliminated. But to us, it was like, these games don't really matter.
They did not think they were making the playoffs.
No.
The team played like they weren't making the playoffs.
But they weren't mathematically eliminated.
Correct. You would think, by the way, and I got so much shit on Twitter for this tweet, but you would think that the Flyers were the last place in the league last year. What did they finish? 16th in the league? I'm pretty sure 16th in the league, and you would think that the Flyers were by far the worst team in the National Hockey League, by the way people reacted last year. And I got so much hate for saying rebounding was in reach.
For sure.
And what has the team done? Rebounded.
Yeah.
As if it's not predictable, by the way, because they've literally done it every other year.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, it's the theme of make. And yeah, they were 6th in the division, and
I can't believe
25, 23, and 8, 58 points.
Yeah, we got. I'm talking about overall in the league.
Overall in the league.
We still have to talk about the Calgary game, I guess,
and the Vancouver game too.
How are we looking on time? Let's see if we got we got plenty of time. We got plenty of time. Goaltending has been great. They just don't have that one star and are kind of slow. See, I don't know where people are getting that they don't have that one star. What is Sean Couturier? What is Claude Giroux, who's put up 100 points and on pace to put up 100 points again? And I'm not saying he will, but like what people are referring to as a star is like the guy who's on fire and the best player in the league.
19th in the league last year.
19th in the league. It's still not the bottom of the league of 31 teams.
But it's not great.
It's not great, but it's not the bottom of the league.
No.
There were teams that were much worse than us.
18th and made the playoffs.
It's insane. I knew that. I knew they wouldn't be good this year.
Their division was. I mean, we said this before. Even when they were in the bubble against us.
Yeah.
They were not like they were a good team. Sure, at the time, the way they were playing, they were good, and Price was a big reason for that.
Yeah.
But when you don't have Price and you don't have Weber, it's probably one of the reasons that they're shit. Like we were talking about on NHL, Petrie is higher rated than Weber.
Yeah, which is so dumb. It makes no sense.
But like that Vancouver game. That was like they were tired and you could tell like their legs just weren't there and they were dumping the puck in, and then they continued that against Calgary. And when it continued, like they had a really good start against Vancouver, scored in the opening minute. Then the Canucks got the fluke goal from the point. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And then the set play, that set play they had again, the pass off the wall in front of JVR.
Yeah.
They've done that before.
Yeah.
And they did it. They already did it. Well, they've done it twice against Vancouver, and they scored on both times.
You got to be careful because teams are going to be looking for it now.
Yeah. And the other thing is, too, is it's not even the fact that they've just done it on the power play. Like, there's been plays where they've set up guys. They had one against Calgary, one of their only, I think, 4 shots in the first period. It was a set play off the draw. They won it. Drew set up for a one-timer. I think passes in his skates, and he just fired a quick wrist shot. But, like, they've done the set play, and they've been confident with it.
Agreed. Let me ask you something. I just want to go on this guy. And, Alex, this is not a knock on you. Don't think I'm trying to insult your intelligence or anything like that. How is Sebastian Aho up there with McKinnon, Kucherov, Crosby, and McDavid?
Yeah.
What has he achieved in his career that is even close to those guys? What you're doing is you're taking the success of the team and wrapping it in individual success. Again, great player. But Kucherov has been like by far the leader in points. And by the way, Giroux has done this as well. And just a few years ago, finished second in the league in points. So like you're pretending like these guys don't exist on our team. Sean Couturier won a Selke and was dominant. Okay. McDavid, whole nother level. McKinnon, I would argue with you, just a half step below McDavid, maybe even a full step at this point. Yeah, Draisaitl is up there. Like, I see what you're saying.
I you throw Malkin in there too.
But Malkin hasn't hit those numbers either.
No.
He is that guy.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. But where Giroux is in his career.
Yeah.
Right? Crosby is a different story. That you're talking about a generational talent, just like McDavid. Maybe McKinnon, probably not Kucherov, but maybe.
Yeah. 4 of the 5 guys are generational.
Yeah, you're talking about generational. Yeah. Star players are different.
Like Hedman.
Yeah.
Yossi.
I don't think Yossi has not proven to be a generational talent. He's a star player. Yeah, he's a true. I mean, it's a good point. He's probably best.
Yeah.
Right. He is a true number 1 elite defender. Right.
He sure is another.
Well,
one.
like Drew Doughty is not generational.
No.
Right. But he is a legit star player.
Yeah.
Right. Chris Pronger, I would say maybe is generational to some degree, but I wouldn't say he even hit that. Like Nicholas Lidstrom is a generational talent.
Yeah.
That guy was the best defender in the league pretty much every free. Eric Carlson, not a generational player, right?
Yeah. Lidstrom, every Norris he won.
He's incredible. Eric Carlson's not a generational player. He
McCarr
is an elite.
Kel McCarr.
Who wrote that?
Right here, Dawson. No.
Look. Could he end up being generational?
Sure.
It is possible. He is still young.
Right now,
but I would not say that you can call a guy a generational talent from having one elite year.
Top 5 defenseman league.
Look at Gostisbehere, okay? He had the best rookie year of anybody we've seen outside of like Eric Lindros for like the Flyers. He had a ridiculous rookie season, okay? He got more votes than Connor McDavid. You saw that's what he's capable of. If McCarr gets better and better, then yes, there is definitely a chance for generation. I mean, you come into the league that way and then hit another gear. And that's what like Victor Hedman, people don't realize is Hedman was not elite for the first like 5 years in the NHL.
Same with
people didn't think that. Yeah, they didn't even think they were that good. Yeah. Aaron Ekblad, who was talking about him a little while ago. They like thought he was not a bust, right? But they thought he was like, oh, well, he peaked. And look, now he's hitting another level. Adam Fox hitting another level. Like, that's what you're looking for. And then to be generational, you pretty much have to do it every year.
I'd say Spurgeon and Dumba have kind of done the same thing. They've hit another level.
Yes.
Played better.
But Spurgeon has never hit the level of superstar.
Yeah.
He's been like, I would say he is a star player in the league.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree with that. I think Dumba is a step below him, but I think Spurgeon is definitely their best player. What do we got here?
The Patrick second overall kind of talking again.
Oh, where? Which one?
Right here at the bottom. Second overall. Screwed up on second overall to get a pick this week.
Look, I think that's fair at this point, right? Patrick has a lot of injury problems. Yeah. Okay. It's not the first time it's happened in sports. It's just not. If you go back to those junior years, Patrick was absolutely dominant in juniors. Yeah. More dominant than the guys around him who were picked. It just is what it is. He's had a ton of injuries. It's stunted his growth in the league.
In Vegas right now.
Yeah. So it is what it is. He didn't have a bunch of injuries prior to that. It just is what it is.
He had concussions
in
junior.
And quite frankly, well, look at Edmonton. I mean, they missed on first-round overall picks. Like, yeah. Look at Claude Giroux was taken. What was he?
About Nugent Hopkins.
Nah, he's a good player.
Exactly.
If you get away with a top 6 forward, and literally, if Patrick was putting up like 40, 50 points a year right now, people will not be very upset about it.
Yeah.
And Sam Bennett, by the way, was considered a bust.
Oh my God!
Until recently,
Flyers, he had like
he's a very similar play.
He shoots from everywhere.
Well, he's a very similar player to Nolan Patrick. So
and he the guy just literally first I think 6 shots at the game, he had 4 of them.
Yeah,
he just shoots from everywhere. I'm like, dude, it's like insane.
Do we think Bedard will be generational? Honestly,
I don't know too much.
You got to just wait. I've seen a little bit of his highlights. It's so hard to tell. I mean, I
don't know much about him. I know he can score.
I only know that he's been.
He's small though, isn't he? I don't know. I don't really know him.
Yeah, like Cole Caulfield's gonna be generational too. I'm joking around. And by the way, I love Cole Caulfield, but for all those people who freaking freaked out and anointed him all of this stuff because of a short sprint, that is the lessons that I'm talking about here. Do I think Cole Caulfield's going to be an excellent NHL player? Yes. Am I surprised that he got sent down in the minors? No. His team stinks. He's a young kid. They're probably like, hey, we're damaging him right now.
Yeah.
We're relying on him to be our top line winger. Look at that team. It's a disaster of an idea, which is why Cam York is playing in the minors and the Flyers went all out. They're like, okay, we're not making that mistake again.
And it's different in
Boston doesn't do that.
Yeah, it's different in Trevor Zegras' case because
they don't have a choice,
right? And his team is rebuilding because you mentioned York and Caulfield; they've all played the same USA team.
Yeah, I mean, there's Boldy from Minnesota. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good players.
Jordan
from that
Greenway
team.
Was on that program.
Yeah, there's a lot of good players from there. I'm sure John Beecher will be up with the Bruins eventually.
Probably.
So York is better than Yandel. I mean, in what way? I mean, right now Cam York is
running a power play. I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, okay. Long term. Well, first of all, we have to remember Yandel was a star player in the league. Like, we can't ignore that. Long term, I think if you're looking maybe next year, I think York is probably better.
Yeah.
But I don't think at this point you're going to see a difference from York to Yandel that'll make you force York into the NHL. Like, it doesn't make sense to force him because, quite frankly, Yandel's been very competent and very good on the power play, and he's playing a bottom pairing role, right? And York right now is playing the clear-cut number 1 defender on the AHL Phantoms. Yeah. I think in the long term, the Flyers are looking at York as a top 4 defender for their team? Definitely. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even be surprised if York takes Sanheim's spot within a couple years. Yeah. Like, I do think his potential is that high. Mm-hmm. But at this point,
but like for
it doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I was in a group chat with a couple people. We kind of talked about this too. Like, right now, the guy was trying to say Sanheim York could take Sanheim's spot, and I'm like, first of all, that's not happening. You're very early in this season. I don't think either Frost, York, or Forster, any of those guys get called up. But
only if there's a serious injury. Yeah, like if Brassard goes down, I could see them.
Or if we're like.
And also,
terribly shit. Like
German Rubtsov is looking good, by the way. Yeah. For everybody who counted him out, I could honestly see him being called up before Frost, and that would probably drive people nuts.
And just imagine everybody's reaction to that.
But he has 3 points in the past 3 games, I think.
Does he?
Either 3 points or 2 points in the last 3 games, and he's been getting better every game, and he's better defensively than Frost. And he's also older. His thing has also been injuries, though. Just like Lazinski and like Allison.
He have like 6 goals in the first 4 games and he got hurt.
Yeah, dude, I still love him as a prospect. I still believe in him and his NHL potential.
He has 3 points in 8 games.
But does it say the last 3 games? You probably have to go to the Phantoms website for that. Do you guys consider Ovo? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure. I mean, dude, you don't.
He literally just fires pucks.
Yeah, but you don't even get to the point of competing with Gretzky without being as consistent as he is. He had 1 down year, maybe 2 down years in his career, but he always goes right back up. He's always doing what he does. Absolutely, Ovechkin is generational.
I think those 2 years too might have been years that they missed the playoffs.
Yeah. I think a guy like Steven Stamkos is not generational, but that's the type of level we're talking about where he's in the closet
at one point though.
But he's not.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. he's really in that same territory of Malkin and Giroux and maybe Tyler Sagan, like guys who Jamie Benn, dude, he's even dropped off quicker, but power forwards tend to do that. But guys who like maybe they hit that peak, a few years, but they can't do it every year. Crosby, generational without a doubt. Kucherov, I think, does have the opportunity to be generational as well. We'll see. It's a lot tougher to do that when you're an injury-prone guy, and he's had some injuries of late. I think Nate McKinnon has the ability to be generational as well. I think Draisaitl is clearly much better than people anticipated. He is the new Malkin. I think Malkin is borderline generational too. He's very, very good. Let's see what else we got here. York equals stud. Trevor Giroux, absolutely. He totally is. Thanks for joining, buddy. Barney said he takes the record. It's absolutely possible. The Caps have to be a good team for that to happen. He can't do it by himself. No. But he has the physicality, longevity.
For the reason he's actually near that is probably Backstrom.
Yeah. But big reason why Backstrom's numbers are so good is because of Ovechkin too. Yeah. But again,
have you seen that commercial?
Great players never do it by themselves. It's absolute nonsense.
Have you seen that commercial where they're eating cereal and he's like, who's gonna pass me the puck? Like where they're talking about.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's funny. I'll have to show it to you after. It's funny.
Realistically, can Frost as a top 6 forward for the Flyers in 2 years? Yes, I do think it's absolutely realistic that Frost can be a top 6 forward. Again, you just got to give it time. I think he's progressing in the AHL, and he is the first choice to be called up to the NHL. Last I heard, Myers healthy scratch for a couple. It's definitely possible. Yeah. Honestly,
I think it was 3.
It's not our problem anymore, so I just don't care.
I don't either.
I just don't care.
Thing, like when Patrick scores, and I'm like, everybody wants to tweet about it. I'm like, dude, I don't give a shit.
I just don't care at all. I want to focus on the team in front of us. And I said this when I did my videos on the analysis. I'm not going to start looking around and being like, we won that trade, and I don't care. I look at the assets that we have available.
Especially with the Atkinson move, like when he was scoring, I was like, oh my God, Flyers won this trade. Who gives a
shit?
Jake
Voracek has 9 assists in 9 games. He's a point per game player. Like, people have to relax. He's a humongous part of that team. And they're doing well.
And honestly, who gives a shit? Who cares?
Because they have to win. Yeah. You have to win. And I know Trevor Giroux, I want to say, I know you weren't asking for that reason, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm just frustrated in general. I'm not jumping on you at all. I think you were just asking just to ask. But what do we got here? I watched a good amount of Eichel highlights. In my opinion, he's going to be absolutely possible. Yeah. I love Jack Eichel. Mm-hmm. I think it's unfortunate that he's been on that squad. We'll see how he does in Vegas. I think it's a fantastic pickup for them. It is interesting to see how they're going to manage their cap moving forward, considering it's a humongous cap hit and they have no assets anymore. Probably no more than $4.5 million.
I thought he made 6.
Did he? That's definitely. He's good enough to make 6. It makes sense that they moved Tuck, right? Because Tuck has got a big injury.
He's going out
and he's had injuries in the past too. And that
4.7 till 2026.
4.7. Okay, that wasn't too far off. We were right in the middle, actually, what we were saying. So
that's a great contract.
Yeah, I mean, the Buffalo Sabres are not. Buffalo was fleeced. They're not.
I thought it was a good trade.
Well, I would say they're not because Krebs is a great pickup, and they got a first and a second.
A first, a second. The first is actually top 10 protected.
Okay.
A second round pick for 2023, and then it was Eichel and a third.
Yeah.
That went to Vegas.
Yeah. So first,
a Krebs, Tuck, a first, a second for Eichel and a third.
Honestly, they got exactly what I thought.
And
Alexander Tuck is a great player.
And the Calgary rumors weren't true.
They weren't true?
No, they were completely false.
That would have been a win for Buffalo, in my opinion.
100%. And
was it 2 first-round picks? It
was 2 first-round picks. Kachuk.
I bet you
roster player.
I bet you
which actually was Monahan.
I bet there's no way that's true. Yeah. There's no way that's true. Because, I could see Monahan a first and a second for Eichel.
Is it crazy to you that when that game against the Flyers, he put on the 4th line? He's been a 4th line player this year.
I saw that.
Isn't that surprising?
I guess with how well they're playing.
Yeah, but why show Monahan on the 4th line? Is that Sutter?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got to be.
When Sutter led
when they played
LA, he put Dustin Brown on the fourth line, didn't he?
And when they played against the Flyers, he said in his post game 4-0 win, like essentially dominated us. In the second period. I think we didn't have a shot until like
They dominated us.
We only had 20 shots on net the whole game. He said, I think we played okay.
I like Sutter, but I wouldn't want him to be my coach. What else we got here? Sorry. As of now, I'm betting on that, but let's hope. I'm not sure what he's referring to. Sorry. If anything sticks out, let me know.
All right, cool.
What is this? In Vegas? I did not know. Oh, yeah. Well, welcome to the news.
Yeah.
Eichel is now in Vegas. They have a ridiculous top 6. I bet you it's still not enough to win the Stanley Cup. Even though they do have a hell of a squad there. I don't believe in Robin Lehner as
the only thing that sucks
top goalie
is Carlson's hurt too.
William Karlsson. They lost him for a while.
6 to 8 weeks.
I think that's why they went for this trade, dude. I think they kind of know that their team is a mess this year.
They're playing like ass because they don't have anyone playing right now.
And I think the Eichel trade is for the long game.
Yeah. It's like they know that they're going to make the playoffs just because of their weak division.
Yeah. I think they might. I wouldn't even be surprised if they move some cap.
Yeah. I mean,
this
they've
season
obviously struggled. They're 4-5
Good.
with 9 games played. They're in 7th.
Good.
And Edmonton's played the same amount of games and has double the points. So that shows you how good the Oilers have been.
Dawson,
San Jose has been fantastic.
What did you expect that Buffalo would get for Eichel? Because they got what I thought. If you look at the return that they got for Ryan O'Reilly.
I saw a trade with the Flyers, and it was – this was a while ago. I wanted to send you what
I'm sure I would have told you it was absolutely –
It was Konechny, Sanheim, Myers, Patrick, and Frost for Jack Eichel.
Of course.
five fucking roster players.
Yeah.
For Jack
Well,
Eichel.
look, I think one that's just like not really feasible because of contract spaces.
No,
so
it's like that's like $20 million in cap space going out of the door.
And you just Yeah.
Like,
I think realistically, like,
I think there's a first-round pick involved in that.
For in that trade, they got Peyton Krebs, who's a potential. I don't know if he's a #1 center, but he's definitely a potential top 6, definitely a potential top line guy in Peyton Krebs. You have you have Tuck, who's definitely a top 6 forward.
Power forward who can score.
And really, and really good in big situations. Been very good in the playoffs. They also got a first-round pick for a potential another top 6 forward, and a second-round pick for another option, and another good player, or potentially a goaltender, because a lot of goaltenders are taken in the second round. Yeah. So you look at that return. I mean, it's pretty much what you're going to get for a guy who hasn't been playing. And even if he was, you would only get maybe another first-round pick.
Did you see what Buffalo? They also made another trade today. They
I didn't see that.
Boychuk, because they had to hit the cap floor. So they got Boychuk
from Islanders.
Yeah, for future considerations.
How the fuck does Lou Lamoriello get away with all of this shit, dude?
It's because they had to get to the cap floor, so they got.
Yeah, but how does he always manage to find a way out? Dude, Lou Lamoriello is a smart motherfucker, dude.
Yeah,
he is. Crazy. People might not like him, but he's brilliant.
How good San Jose's been. They're 6-3 now. They're 3rd in their division.
A little bit, but I think they were underperforming to begin with.
Yeah, and a lot of their guys are playing better. Like Carlson's having a better year.
Yeah,
Burns is
I think a lot of teams got screwed up by
he's so good.
Landon Ferraro. Yeah. I think realistically, like, there's a lot of room to fuck up in the COVID time. Like, to not train hard enough, to not show up, to not have the right mindset, to not have good communication with your team.
Like, at this point, can you kind of just like if you're thinking about the Flyers, right? And everybody essentially is looking at last season and be like, oh my God, this team, like, everything that's going on. And then, like, you look at this season and like how they've played, and it's like, is last season, can you just throw it out the window at this point?
I mean, I would. I've been saying that for a while.
Yeah.
Even though people attacked me for it. But
right.
What else we got here? I'm a huge Eichel backer. Yeah, I'm happy for him too, dude. Let's get that whole situation. That was a horrible situation because, one, I understand where Buffalo's coming from, though I don't agree with them not letting him get the surgery he wants. Yeah, not that I know enough about it. But you always feel for a guy who has no control over his physical health and is waiting to get surgery. Like, that's terrible.
Yeah, he's just like in pain.
Yeah. I would not be surprised if the NHL got involved and they're like, yo, make a move. Like, do not leave this hanging over our head. We already have all this shit going on with Chicago. We got other stuff going. We don't need this anymore. We don't need any more player abuse nonsense.
With Pittsburgh too.
Of course.
So
I assume it's Ron Hextall fingering people.
No, it was.
I'm kidding. Fingering Crosby.
Sure.
Sorry, that's probably not PC.
It's probably not great for a time right now.
No. I probably shouldn't be making those jokes.
No,
but if you know me, I'm going to say things that upset people.
It was who used to be their GM? GM of the Devils, Ray Shero.
Ray Shero.
Similar, yeah.
He's not in the Devils anymore either. Didn't they fire him?
He used to be at the Devils. What I meant. Yeah.
Bastard. First is the top 10 protected. Yep, we said that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Those boys ain't Uncle Fleece.
Holy shit! $27 million on LTIR. That's Vegas.
Wow, that's insane. Do you guys remember the Eric Lindros trade when we traded for Eric Lindros? Do you guys remember that? And Lindros is definitely better than Jack Eichel.
Oh my God! Eichel, Stone, Pacioretty, and Bischoff.
That sucks, man. They're missing a lot of talent. They're missing a lot of talent. That's a bummer. And Patrick's injured, and I don't know White Cloud well.
He's a good player.
Okay.
Good young.
He's got a decent salary, that's for sure. So if you guys don't remember, Eric Lindros was traded to the Rangers for Jan Hlavik. I guarantee most of you have no idea who he is, but he did have an excellent rookie year in the NHL and essentially topped out at that. They got Kim Janssen, who was a top 4 defender and actually by far the best player in that trade. They got Pavel Brendel, a player who put up 70 goals in juniors and never lived up to that future at all. And then I think they got a first-round pick on top of that, potentially. I think that's what it was. They lost that trade. When you trade an elite player, you're typically losing the trade. That's why all these people were talking about trade Giroux. We're getting you trade elite players, you're most likely losing that trade. The only time that I can think of where the team won the trade, and I'm sure that there are times like that, more than I'm going to say, and you can even say the Flyers didn't win this trade, but trading Jeff Carter, we got Voracek and Couturier, right? And I think we ended up getting Stolarz. No, is that Stolarz? Or no, it was Nick Cousins, who's also an NHL player. Mm-hmm. And then trading Mike Richards, Simmons, Braden Shen, and Stolarz. Well, there was a pick who ended up being Cousins.
And Taylor Wheeler, I think, was the other one.
Potentially. I thought there was one. I could definitely be forgetting. Yeah. And then the other one was another, I think it was a second-round pick who ended up being Anthony Stolarz, who's a backup goalie in the NHL right now. Again, typically, but you still look at that, Jeff Carter was still an elite center, and Mike Richards in his prime was definitely better than Braden Shen and Wayne Simmons. A lot of times you're just not getting that return. It's not happening. Yeah. You're not trading elite for elite. It very rarely happens, but it is interesting to see that, what's his name? Dubois. He's got 7 goals early in the season, and he's on fire.
Well, he looks good with Connor.
Connor's
great.
Yeah, he's awesome. He got passed up in the draft and didn't make any sense.
He was 15 draft too with Besser, Konecny, McDavid, Eichel.
Yes.
Hold on.
Yes.
Chabot. That draft is easily the best draft in the last 20 years.
Yeah,
gotta be.
Well, typically that's what happens.
And 2003 was also great. Too.
Yeah, it happens like every 10 years.
Best one since then.
Vegas injuries are going to bury them. Yeah, I mean probably, but they'll be okay. Again, it's just 1 year.
We're only 9 games into the season.
Yeah. Vasily. Yeah. Vasily, what's up, buddy? Also, Krebs looks like he's going to be a good one. Tuck is going to excel with more minutes in Buffalo. Pretty decent on that.
Tuck is actually from upstate New York.
Oh.
He said he grew up wanting to play for Buffalo.
Well, there you go. And they're not doing too bad. So
no, they're not. And honestly,
Tuck's not going to be back for a while though, right?
Yeah, he's out
probably the same as Eichel. I think he was out 6 months in the beginning of the year.
February, which is pretty much March. Because of the Olympics.
Okay, yeah. I can't believe we're gonna have Olympics.
Because I drafted him in fantasy and he's hurt.
Last season isn't indicative of future performances. Totally agree. I mean, practice time is more crucial in the practice this season. It's also, we see it every year, right, Vasily? It's like you see like a Kale McCarr, we're just talking about, and again, he could still have a monster season, but like look how people jump from one player to the next and go, oh, this is the next future guy. And it's like, this is all media generated and it's not their fault. It's their job, but we have short attention spans and short memories. So we tend to be like, oh, here's the new hot thing. And it's like, what's his name in Dallas? Robertson, right?
Oh, yeah, it is Robertson. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he's destroying it this year. And again, he had a ridiculous rookie year. I'm sure most people will be like, oh, he's the next elite. But again, you have to do it every year to enter that conversation. You know, it's totally normal to have a dip in performance. It's not indicative that you won't be a star player. But if you want to be that guy who's already anointed, which is kind of what I have a problem with the Kaprizov thing. It's like they anointed him as like the best player like in the league by far. He did it 1 year.
What does he get, $9 million?
Yeah. I mean, he had a monster season, but
he's not worth $9.
Yeah, it took Panarin years of consistency to get that monster contract. He proved it every year. He got traded. He did even better. He was just always good. He earned that reputation. I'm not saying Kaprizov isn't that guy, but you have to earn it first. That's why I don't like young guys. Yeah. Like, why is Brady Tkachuk getting like $8 million a year? He's put up 19 goals in the season. Yeah. You've never hit those numbers. No. I get why the potential is there. I would love him on the team.
The problem with the whole Kaprizov thing is if he didn't get that money, he was leaving.
Yeah.
He was going to go back to the KHL.
Yeah.
So
it's power negotiation.
Yeah.
And he's also older. I don't blame anybody, by the way. I'm not saying like, oh, how dare he.
It's not like it's Bulgarian's fault or anything.
I don't think it's anybody's fault. I think it's consequence. It's more that I don't like that people anointed him like Artemi Panarin already. Like Panarin worked for that reputation.
Yeah, it was like, oh my God, Kaprizov. Like everybody made it like he was like an excuse
because it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting to label guys that way.
If we're getting back to the Flyers, like last game against Arizona, like we talked about this in the car. It wasn't even like they didn't like you said it perfectly. There wasn't a point in that game where it looked like Arizona was going to win.
No. Oh yeah, we should be talking about the Flyers.
Yeah. Score first. Yeah, they had their looks.
Yeah.
But like the first really and the second period were like seesaw. Like it was like Flyers had their couple looks for a couple minutes, then Arizona would come down and have their push. Then it would go back to the Flyers, and the period would essentially end.
I think they let Arizona come in with too much speed in the zone. That was my biggest problem.
Yeah, but then they were dominant.
They were playing
third.
Yeah, they were playing a trap. They were playing a 1-3-1, and they caught the Flyers, and they would come in with a lot of speed because they have some guys with a lot of speed.
And the Flyers, it looked like once they hit the red line in the second, they just overthought every single pass.
Yeah,
I
think it was still a hangover from the last game.
And the rush chance that went to the TV timeout, where after that they started to play better, then they scored, got called off. The whole thing.
You knew that, in my opinion, as soon as they scored that, I was like, Flyers are going to win this game.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, doesn't matter.
Once scored, I was like, this game's over.
I agree with that too.
I was like, all right, they're winning. Like, Arizona's had like 3 shots. They've all been from like the outside, and Hart's just like kind of swallowed them up.
Yeah.
Like, but there was a 3-on-2 rush. All Giroux had to do was just dump it. And I'm like, because they were out for a while, like good 45-second, like a minute 15 shift. I'm like, just dump it.
No, I mean,
he
great
drops
pass.
It to Couturier, and he flubs a pass, and Keller goes in on a breakaway.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my God. And then I think Hart got a piece of it, went out of play. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, they might lose this game with the way they're playing right now because they just couldn't get anything going.
Yeah.
And then after the TV timeout, the third line went out, probably had arguably their best shift of the game. Didn't do anything crazy, but they had the puck in the zone for a while. Then the second line went out. Atkinson scored. And then the Flyers got more momentum. They got the power play late. A couple of chances on that. I think they hit a post. Atkinson hit a post on the power play.
Yeah.
Where, again, the power play switch where that power play in the first period where he was too low, he was higher and hit the post. That's another reason why I like him higher in the zone because he can actually get – like I said it to Caitlin. I went with Caitlin. I'm thinking to myself, if you're going to put Atkinson on the power play, put him in a spot where he can fucking shoot. Don't put him at the side of the net where like Giroux and Provorov.
I don't understand that.
It doesn't make sense to me.
I also think there's an issue with our third line. I just think the chemistry.
Really?
Yeah,
I feel like their last game was one of their best games.
No, it's not that they're playing poorly.
Yeah,
it's that you look at the combination of players and who is driving play on that line.
Lawton,
but he's not a play driver. I'm not saying
he's doing it though.
Yeah, but at an average,
they had
admirable job.
Like many chances in that game to score.
Fair enough, I agree, and obviously he earned a goal as well.
And Lindblom almost set up JVR for a goal, which there's actually a screenshot.
Well, that's kind of my problem. Is that I want there's no like real defined role. It's like
but like Lindblom has like. And it's weird because I don't feel like anybody's really talked about Lindblom enough. Like
because he's not producing offensively, but he does look good.
But he's getting there.
That's kind of my problem is that I feel like it's that the production is more a consequence of not having the right pieces together, but they're all good players.
And since the Edmonton game, the third line's gotten chances after chances, especially 5-on-5.
But I think they can produce a lot more. Like it's interesting to think about when Hayes comes back. Personally, I think Hayes is stepping into the second line center spot. Really? I do think they're going to drop down Brassard, yes. Yeah. And I think they're going to drop Brassard to the third line. If Hayes is ready, they might start it opposite.
I feel like I thought the first 2 games, he'll be third line just because of the injury. Get him rolling again.
And they could actually end up going back to Atkinson, Lindblom, and Brassard. And then go JVR, Farabee, and Hayes. They might play with that. I think that middle six is very much a consequence of what they have available.
Yeah.
Right? And I think Atkinson and Farabee obviously look very good together, so they want to keep that going. But if you just look at the mix, you want to get the guy who can play down low to play with a shooter and a playmaker. Right now we have 3 guys who can play well down low.
Yeah, and they're all good defensively.
Yes. Right? So it's like I get it. I'm not saying like, oh, it's terrible, break it up.
Yeah.
A part of me is like, man, there needs to be a tweak here. I'm also
at the point too where it's like you're only 8 games into a season, you scored a shit ton of goals. Like I don't want to just break up the off. Like everybody on Twitter was like, "Oh, they haven't scored in like 5 periods. Break up the lines." Like
right? No, but they're winning. They're winning, so you can't do it. Here's an interesting question: can Lindblom play the right side? Because I would be and I don't think they want him to, but I'd be very interested to see can he play on the top line with Giroux and Couturier.
We already know he has the chemistry with Giroux.
Right? Exactly.
We saw it.
We know he has chemistry with Couturier. For sure.
And Giroux.
Yeah.
Because we saw
it's kind of easy.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have chemistry with them?
Right. But
you literally put anybody. You put Farabee up there as well.
You put me and you on that line.
You know what I mean? I'd fall into the net and manage to score.
I can't even skate.
Yeah.
So
finish your thoughts. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I mean, like we saw it last year. There was the line of Lindblom with Giroux and Ulrich Bell at one point.
Oh yeah,
absolutely dominated the game, and they came back against the Penguins.
Dude, I forgot about that.
Early in March when they had the 3 games against the Penguins all on the road.
Yeah,
which is still very odd how that even came about. I think that was COVID with the schedule.
It's got to be COVID. Yeah.
But
go ahead. Sorry,
but like they had continued to play well, and they dominated. Like that might have been some of the best games that I had seen from Lindblom last year. Like those couple games, he also had a couple good plays.
Like why wouldn't they try TK with Farabee and like Kevin Hayes in the middle?
They have done that,
right? So like, why wouldn't you try that when he comes back? You can move up Atkinson.
You
can move up JVR.
It's because they like Farabee playing up in a higher line.
Well, no, I'm saying Farabee in the top 6.
Yeah, but you don't have Hayes is the problem.
But even try with Brassard.
Yeah.
So like,
I don't think it will work.
TK is more of a play driver. Like Atkinson is a great player, but he's not a playmaker. He's a shooter. He's a goal scorer. Yeah. Farabee is also a goal scorer with a 2-way touch, same as Atkinson, actually. Yeah. And they have Brassard, who used to be a playmaker. Right. That's why they have them together.
Yeah.
Right? They're hoping Brassard can feed the 2. And he's shown flashes of it.
Yeah.
But Kevin Hayes is obviously a better playmaker at this point in their careers.
Yeah.
So
he's great chemistry with Cagney, which is why he was on his line for the whole entire year.
I would wonder, though, like, could you slide up Atkinson, slide down TK? You know what I mean? And try that as well.
I don't want to slide down Konechny right now. That line looks great.
I agree with that too. I'm more talking about if you consistently see a pattern where only your top line is producing, which is kind of what we've seen in the past, I don't know, 2 games. Right? It's not really a pattern.
Not even really 2 games. They
exactly.
Just shut out.
Exactly.
So 1 game.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's not a pattern. It's not
now if this continues into the strip and Wednesday, it's like okay.
Exactly.
Fuck. Like, let's do something.
That's what I'm talking. Or even during a game.
Yeah.
Where you're like they put TK on the third line and moved up JVR.
Right. And they did that against Calgary to try to get the offense going.
Right.
It's not like
it didn't work.
No, it didn't work. But it's also credit to Calgary.
Yeah. I would have moved up Atkinson though. I wouldn't have. I would have separated the second line.
I would have moved up Lindblom.
Or Lindblom.
Yeah.
Like JVR hasn't looked. not bad, actually. I don't want to say he looked bad, but he hasn't looked great this year. Like, he's not.
No, but JVR
hasn't been as strong
in stretches.
Yeah.
Like, when his first year he was here, he was injured at the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
Kind of had an iffy season, scored here and there, and then lit it up at the end of the season. Like, I think he finished the year with 27 goals. I think he had like 16 in the last month or so. Like, he was fantastic.
I get that, but other players have done very well in the KHL and then come here and done shit. Yuri Depita, if you know who that is, was supposed to be like the next second coming, and he didn't do shit in the NHL. What's his name? Who played for the Flyers a few years back under Hackstall? Medvedev. Dude, the guy couldn't even play. Yeah, couldn't even play in the NHL. Again, I understand what you're saying. Kaprizov is a young guy.
Aaron is probably the only guy that has legitimately been insane over there and came over here and did it here. Like, legitimately,
Kaprizov,
star, yeah,
and Kaprizov.
But like,
I'm just saying, I'm not.
Yes,
it's just more rare. It's just more rare. That's all I'm saying.
Do you consider Panarin as generational? Being from Russia?
No.
Like, it's up there with,
but he's definitely one of the best players in the National Hockey League.
He's up there with Kucherov.
Generational means that, like, guys like you don't come around often.
Yeah.
And the reality is we've had other guys like Panarin in the NHL. He's great.
Yeah.
He's great. But, like, okay, who would you rather have, Kucherov or Panarin?
It's tough.
But would you give the nod to Kucherov?
Yeah, I mean,
okay, then he's not generational.
Yeah,
generational. You have to literally be like that guy.
Yeah,
I want that guy.
Yeah,
it's not even a question. I want that guy.
Yeah,
and that is generational. If we're not talking about elite superstars, there are plenty of them in the league. Yeah. We're talking about guys who literally is a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. Like McDavid is like, you're never gonna say that McDavid isn't a top 3 player in the league. Yeah. It's never going to happen.
Do you think they win tonight?
Yes.
I do too. The only thing that's scary,
I think they're going to beat both teams, to be honest with you. I think they're going to beat the Capitals.
I think they win today and they lose.
I think they're going to beat Capitals in overtime, though.
I think they lose in overtime.
Okay.
Just because it's 3-on-3. And the Capitals are the Capitals.
Yeah. God, I really want Kevin Hayes and Ellis back.
I'll say this about tonight, though. You cannot take Pittsburgh lightly.
Yes, they are generational.
They did not have Crosby, Malkin, Carter, Rust.
Did you see their post? It was like no Rust, no Crosby, no Malkin, no problem, or something like that.
Crosby, Malkin, Rust, Letang, and Carter. That's easily a number one power play unit.
That's insane.
It was like the Penguinless Penguins.
I mean, even like, yes, we're missing our number.
And they beat Toronto 7-1. And they had a guy who was essentially kind of like Max Willman, who was in the ECHL, then went to the AHL, and then it was in the NHL with the Penguins. He scored twice.
Yeah,
it's just another like
Toronto's a mess.
I know. That's why I'm not worried about that game against them next week. I think the Flyers win that game.
I think they're going to beat Toronto too. I honestly think. Look, I see them losing to the Caps. Yes, of course.
Yeah, I can see them losing tonight too if they don't play well. If they play the day against Calgary,
I think you can lose to any team in the league if you don't play well.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter how good of a team you are.
How many years in a row did we see the Flyers lose games against like fucking Buffalo?
It happens all the time.
When they sucked.
There are no teams in the league that are a pushover. Mm-hmm. Even like you were saying about Arizona, right? I don't know if you said it on camera or off camera. They didn't lose their previous games by blowouts.
That goalie, Vejmelka, whatever.
Vejmelka, whatever.
Yeah,
he did play.
Somebody called him Velveeta cheese, like the cheese brand.
Of course.
That guy was, I think, almost had a shutout against Carolina. They lost 2-1. I think they ended up losing 2-1 to Washington, and then they lost 3-0 to us with an empty netter. It was essentially, no, it wasn't. It was actually just one empty netter. I thought yeah. The other one was Lawton, the Lawton goal. But yeah, like I didn't think that was going to be an easy game for the Flyers. I thought that would have been just like it was. Like
it was like a trap game.
Yeah,
coming back off the road, a team desperate for a win. They were going to play their heart out.
Look at the schedule. It's like the NHL gave us like that. Here's a game to give you points. It's like you go from the West trip, Arizona at home, and then go play 2 divisional opponents on the road. You know what I mean? It just seems like the NHL's like, oh, here you go.
Yeah, you don't want to. Right. We're not going to give you all of it in a row. Though I'm pretty sure the stretch after this is that. Like, I'm pretty sure the games upcoming are all difficult. I don't think we have a single easy game.
No, especially late November.
Yeah, I don't think we have any easy games, essentially in the month of November.
It's
especially because there's no bad teams in the NHL at this point. Like there really is not. Really it's just Arizona. They're the only team that you can consider bad. Even Montreal, right? While they've been terrible, they're not as bad as their record. They're not a good team, in my opinion. I don't think they're ever going to be the team that they were last year, especially with missing all the talent. But
so Flyers schedule after tonight is Washington, Toronto, Carolina on the road, Dallas on the road.
This is still a good team.
Calgary, Tampa,
Boston, Tampa, Florida, Calgary,
Carolina,
Carolina,
Jersey, and then the fucking Islanders.
The only easy game
is New Jersey, and that's not even.
It's not even an easy game.
It's a very tough.
There's literally not a single game on the like. Your dad goes, "Come on, Toronto blows." Look, but while they haven't played well as a team, they still have talent. You know what I mean? Like they're underperforming. Dude, I bring it up again because people were like probably didn't understand me when I were talking about that team uniform thing. We want to ease up on the dress because the whole league is good.
Yeah,
there's so much parity in the NHL at this point. Nobody's really broken. I think the reality is though, I think the Flyers are actually a very good team. And I think we're going to see that.
I mean, we've said this for a while, and I still think there's people that are like,
because they're not driving play, and that I understand why people
28 goals in 8 games,
right? But they're doing it being opportunistic, right?
But they're scoring.
They're not dominating games. Now they don't need to be a very good team.
No.
I completely agree, but you want to see it sprinkled in there.
Because honestly.
As the season rolls on, it's still really early.
At these stages of the season, back in 2019-20, did they really dominate games? Not necessarily.
No, they dominated later in the season. That's what I'm saying. Once you get rolling.
They did at times, but the month of November for them was a very tough schedule. They played a lot of playoff games.
It's gonna be a tough month.
Yeah, and I don't see
if they finish 500, it's probably a relatively successful month.
I think they have a very similar month that they do the year in 1920. They were the best team in the league in November at 23 points that month.
It'd be awesome if the Flyers beat all these teams. Like they give Carolina their first loss or something.
Yeah, and especially because that's a back-to-back on the road.
Luckily, it's Dallas.
Then you have 3 home games against tough teams.
My dog's an antsy.
Calgary, Tampa, Boston. Like those are tough games. Another back-to-back in Florida.
Hold on, take over for 1 second.
Yeah. And then Carolina at home, which is Black Friday game. That's an afternoon game. That's tough as well. It's going to be tough for them. And again, it's not. And this is the thing that with Jones too. Like when I look at this, it's like Martin Jones is going to come up big in a lot of these games, and he's going to have to be a factor in the games that he plays. Like, dude, this entire week from like. Oh my God, Calgary! Oh my God, it's such a tough month.
It's gonna be very tough.
Yeah.
So tonight, I think the Flyers. Look,
I think they win.
I think Penguins are gonna come out playing. They always do.
Mm-hmm.
But the Flyers have proven outside of that game, Calgary. That's the only game where I really looked at them that night and went like, they just didn't have it. They didn't have it. They didn't bring their. They didn't even bring their B game.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I'm gonna ask you this: like, do you think they like? In my opinion. They haven't had necessarily a great second period. You know what I mean? Where like
no, they have not.
They haven't
been their worst period essentially almost every time.
And even the last game, I thought that was their better second. But it took them a while to get into it.
Yes, the first half of the second wasn't great.
No, the bottom half they scored, and how I talked about before.
Yeah, and then the third period they played well.
Right,
which is a sign of a good team.
I feel like
played well in the third period.
I feel like that second period that starts tonight. You build on that. You have a good month. Like. I think there's a lot of good things that can come out of this month, but they have to play their A game. And if there's anything that's like,
I think the injuries are the problem. To be honest with you,
yeah,
because it changes.
And that's the thing, they're winning.
Lot of the match.
Like they're still winning with the injuries.
Right.
They don't have a number 2 center.
Well,
I think best defenseman.
Well, I think that's why the possession numbers aren't as good as they can be.
Yeah.
Because when you don't have a play driving center playing in your middle 6, which we don't right now, again, you're forcing Lawton to do it. You're forcing Brassard into a top 6 role.
Yeah.
If Brassard is on the third line, he's considerably more effective, and he's already been good.
Mm-hmm.
If Lawton is on the 4th line, which is probably what's going to happen,
amazing.
He is a star 4th line player in the league. Like you put Lawton with McEwen and Allison, I mean, you're talking about Nate Thompson can't even make the lineup at that point.
Right.
You're talking about that's probably the best fourth line in the league, and it's a scoring fourth line that's physical and defensively sound.
Yeah.
So that, like, if the Flyers are healthy, that is a much more dangerous matchup for teams.
Yeah.
Where Braun is on the third pairing and not the top pairing, right? And that third pairing is arguably as good as our second pairing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that top pairing is legitimate where both guys are equally talented and both off a threat on both ends of the ice. It's just a whole different way to match up against the Flyers.
Yeah.
And I think if the Flyers can get that together, and again, other teams have injuries too, that is where you could see a scary version of the Flyers. Up until then, I do think that we're going to be more of like an easier team to match up against.
Yeah. But, and that's the thing. It's like, I don't even like, it took them a while to get to that scary momentum.
The previous run.
The 1920 season.
Yeah, when AV first took over.
Right. Because it was March was when they were like insane and late February and then had the 9-game winning streak and everything. But I do think there is a point where they can get to that again. But it's like it just reminds me of that season this year, like because of how good they've looked in the first handful of games. Even though that season they weren't great in the first couple because there was a shit ton of travel in the beginning of that month too. Because they had Prague, then they came home for the home opener, and then they went out to Western Canada. And I think they actually lost all 3 of those games when they went out to Western Canada.
If I remember correctly, yeah.
And then I think they lost the home game then against Dallas. Everybody was like worried. They were like 1-4.
We didn't even have Patrick and Lindblom. I'm thinking about it, right? Because that was the Lindblom.
No, we had Lindblom. Lindblom was out when they went on to December.
Oh, right.
Lindblom was actually scoring.
Right.
Led the team in goals.
In the beginning of the season, he was doing great.
It was Lindblom, Couturier connecting.
But then that sprint we went on at the end of the year, we did not have Lindblom.
No, didn't have Lindblom, didn't have Patrick.
They didn't have Patrick, and they still. So it really comes down to how this team plays.
Yeah, as a
confident, aggressive, opportunistic.
And again, there's like that different swagger with the team this year.
Yeah,
like I have never felt this confident about a Flyers team. Like
it's been a while. Like the last time I felt this good, though I will say the injuries make me hesitant because it's tough to look at a lineup without a legitimate top 6 center.
Yeah.
It is. It's like I see it as a glaring weakness. And if like Hayes couldn't come back this year, I think we would definitely have to go out and trade for somebody if you really want to make a Stanley Cup run. Like you can't go into the Stanley Cup with Brassard as your top 6 center.
No, especially if you re-sign Giroux and everything else. And
yeah.
You do, as we said, you do all of this stuff getting Ellis, Atkinson, everything.
Yeah.
Then what's the
what's
the point?
I mean, you'd have to go out and get something like Hayes coming back is a pretty big thing. But I will say with the veteran leadership on the D, with the names available when the team is healthy, I haven't felt this good about a lineup in a long time.
No. It's been a while. It's probably been.
It's the best team I've seen
Robin.
It's the best team I've seen on paper for the Flyers in a long time.
Yeah,
it's better on paper than the round robin team,
for sure.
I mean, we had Niskanen who was healthy then. Oh man, I wish Matt Niskanen still played on this team.
Imagine they had Ellis.
We wouldn't have to go on and get Ristolainen if we had Niskanen.
Oh my God! Imagine Provorov, Ellis, Sanheim, Niskanen.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and then Braun, probably Yandel again.
Braun. Oh.
Though I mean, Risto's. I like Risto.
Bitch, man. Still looking from our goalie. I would assume Jari.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
But I don't know.
I don't know why they're holding. Probably haven't decided. Let's see the Flyers tat, Chris. I think he wants to see your tattoo.
Let me do it this way. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah. High scoring game.
What else? Phantoms. Should we talk about Phantoms before we wrap up here?
Yeah.
All right. So Phantoms. So they won. No, they've been losing a lot, but they did win last night against the Pens, who have beaten them, I think,
4-0.
Yeah, but they've beaten them twice before that this year, maybe 3 times already. Been a lot of games against the Penguins.
Oh, last season?
No, this season. I think they played them twice already.
Oh yeah,
this season
they played them. Yeah, twice.
Yeah, so last night Frost had his best game
last year because last year they only played.
Yeah, like probably in preseason too.
Did they only play Hershey and Wilkes-Barre?
I think they only played within their division, right? The only local.
Hershey
it was like all. Yeah, it was like all the same.
They only played the same 2 teams.
Fucking ridiculous. But they did have a 4-0 win. York got an assist. Rubtsov had an assist.
Power play goal.
Forster had a goal.
He was like,
thank the heavens that he scored. Yeah. Frost had 2 assists in that game. I think Gary Mayhew scored. Was it Mayhew who scored?
No, Hodgson.
Oh, Hodgson. Mm-hmm. Yes. Wait, Mayhew didn't have a goal?
I think an assist.
I thought he had the empty netter.
Maybe he did. I don't know.
I forget.
I didn't watch that.
But look, the thing is with the Phantoms, what concerns me is that everybody on the team has been struggling. Like, while people want to pick on Frost, you look at like Connor Bunneman, who has 0 points this year. Forrester, up until last night, only had 1 goal. Like, you're looking at guys who already did well in the AHL. Glenn Denning has 2 points. You're looking at guys who
only has 3.
Yeah, he's got a goal and 2 assists.
And that was the last couple of games.
Yeah, and these guys are like leading the team in points. Mm-hmm. You know, like York is leading defenseman in points with 4 points. Right. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a good sign because your team overall isn't playing well. Right. Now, maybe, oh man, the Tuamala thing, I have no idea. And, you know, credit to Isaiah of OMB Puckcast, because he called this out. He's like, I don't know if this is good for his development. They should send him back to juniors. What is the point of keeping this kid if you're not playing him? Yeah. It literally makes 0 sense. He's played 2 games, and they haven't used him at all since. Send the kid to the OHL. Yeah. Like, I completely agree. Let's put it on the screen so people know what we're talking about. Yeah. I don't understand at all what he's doing here at this point. Even if you're testing him.
There's only so much knowledge you can gain sitting in the press box.
It doesn't make any sense, and I'm a little concerned with Lappy as coach at this point. Having said that, definitely needs time, and he's also and it's also a rookie coach.
There is a reason he was put in the head coach position.
But I look at that Tuamala thing, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Yeah, this is a high end pick. Did we freeze?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Just a delay. It's a high end pick for the team. It's a guy with an offensive upside, and you're benching him.
Yeah. And he's a guy that.
So if he's not ready, send him to OHL.
And he's a guy that you could. He's a guy that needs time to translate his game from the European style to North American. Like,
yeah,
even in camp,
I think that's why they have him there.
But like even in camp, like he only shined in the drills that were like the one-on-one shot drills,
and that's probably why they're keeping him. They want him to build a defensive game. How are you going to have him do that?
He's sitting in the fucking press box,
and he's like the youngest guy on the team,
right? And he doesn't speak much English, so what is that really doing for him?
Yeah, send him where he can go build combat. I really don't understand it either. At first, I thought they were going to play him, you know, but if you're not going to play him...
I figured he plays second power play unit and third line.
Like, what's going to happen with Zaid? Well, Wisdom's not coming back this year, is he?
No, he's hurt.
He's out all year.
All year.
That's...
Definitely, yeah.
They could use him. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. I've been trying...
I just can't wait for Desnoyers to go there.
Desnoyers with the Phantoms makes more sense than Tuamala.
Yeah.
Tuamala with the Phantoms right now makes 0 sense.
No. The only reason I thought that he made it out of camp.
Because he played well.
Yeah, because he looked good in the rookie game.
Yes.
The first rookie game. Didn't do much in the second one.
But play him.
Exactly. Put him on the ice. Like,
that's why I'm concerned it's lacking.
Like even, I don't know.
Because everybody is struggling.
We'll see. Though.
I know.
It's very early. They've only played what?
But when I see everybody struggle,
8 games.
Yeah. But when I see everyone struggle, you know, again, you're right. It's not that they should fire Lappy. It's not what I'm saying. I said I'm concerned that it's him. He's going to get the whole season regardless, even if they're bad all year. He's not getting fired within the year.
Like, in my opinion. Does it continue over to the development thing we talked about the last episode with the 6-on-3 with Frost and the benching and everything like that? Is it that? Because that's what I think it is. I've only seen like bits and pieces of
now
their
Frost.
games.
Okay, and here's the problem with that. Like, Frost leads the team in points.
Yeah,
and he's been benched.
Right.
And again, I'm fine with it. Even at the time, you remember, I was like, "Oh, he's probably just trying to send him a serious message." I don't have a problem with him benching him, right? But at the same time, do you actually know enough to get the most out of this guy to bench him, or are you benching him because you don't have an answer? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, are you benching him because you're like, I don't know what to do with Frost, I'm just going to bench him?
I see what you're saying, but if he didn't have any idea, why would he be the head coach? You know what I mean?
Like, I agree. Again, there's no way Lappy is stupid.
Yeah, because if they thought Lappy was an idiot,
there's no way LaPerriere is stupid. There's zero chance he's dumb.
There's a reason that when they changed the coaching staff here, Lappy stayed.
Yes,
like
100%. I also think he has the right attitude, but I think there's zero chance that Lappy is an idiot. I think there's zero chance that he's incompetent.
Yeah.
So that's not me saying that at all. But I wonder, are you pushing the right buttons? Are you trying to be a guy that maybe you're not? I don't know. Again, it is nowhere near panic button time, and it is nowhere near talking about firing him.
No.
But when I see everybody struggle at once.
But maybe they can. The one thing that's
my concern.
Struggling is the goaltending.
Yeah.
Urson and
Sandstrom. Or Sandstrom. I always do that, actually. Yeah. I always say Samsonov.
That's funny.
Yeah, actually, his numbers are great. Sandstrom.
Urson's look good.
Sandstrom's are even better. Sandstrom's like under 2 goals a game.
Holy shit!
And he's got like a 9.
Never shitted on him.
9.47 save percentage.
Yeah. Everybody constantly.
Well, notice how he's 26 years old. I say this all the time. Most goalies, you're not getting Carter Hart.
Markstrom didn't.
Carter Hart is future best goalie in the league.
Markstrom made his NHL debut until he was 26.
Markstrom sucked for the beginning of his career, and now he's good.
Yeah, he's
like
great.
most goalies.
Yeah.
Carter Hart is an exceptional goalie. Yeah, it's like John Gibson is an exceptional goalie. He came in, did really well. Look at Samsonov.
Jones too. Martin Jones wasn't great. Now led to a starting role with San Jose.
Yeah. Bernier. Yeah. They were good behind Jonathan Quick. They weren't good by themselves.
Osgood.
Devin Dubnyk struggled immensely until he finally was in his mid-20s and went to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Chris Osgood. Tim Thomas wasn't good until he was like 30.
Cam Talbot's another one.
Cam Talbot is another one, dude. Connor Hellebuck was a very good young goalie. He's one of the best goalies in the league, right? But he struggled up until he was like, 24? Right? And that's one of the best goalies in the league. Okay, that's the reality of what we're watching here. And I think Sandstrom is really like a backup NHL guy. I don't think he's like a starter. Potentially he could be, but I don't see him as a starter. I see Ersan as potentially a starter. He's just more technical. He's a lot younger than Sandstrom. Yeah. I think he's like got 4 years younger than him or something like that.
22.
He's 22. Sandstrom's 26.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're hanging together.
I think Sandstrom's bigger though, right?
No. It might be lagging. Sorry, we've also been on here for a while, and my other roommate is podcasting at the same time we are. So
shit's on the tabs open.
That's always the case for me.
Yeah.
There's never not.
Yeah. You're a busy man.
What else we got to talk about, and then we got to wrap this up.
Sandstrom's 24 apparently.
He's 24. I don't know if that's true. We got to look that up. I thought he was older. We had somebody who like actually look stuff up for us. I don't feel like an idiot looking stuff up on camera, getting something wrong, 24. And then he's 24. Okay, my bad. But he's still of.
That's still your point.
That's so crazy. He's 24. I thought he was older. That's actually good news.
Yeah, they got him for Ronaldo.
It was the third round pick from the Ronaldo trade. Oh, what a terrible pickup Ronaldo was. Actually, you know what was a bad draft pick? What's his name? That
Goldborn.
Yeah. Everybody knew it was a bad pickup at the time, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everyone knew it was a bad third-round pick.
Yeah.
I still don't even understand why they did that. He was a guy who was going to be available in the 7th round. Probably go undrafted, to be honest with you. They took him because of one fight.
So is I shouldn't say so is, because he still has time. It's Jackson Ivany.
I mean, he's doing all right in college.
Yeah, but
he's point per game player this year.
Yeah, but he's taking a while.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I think Yinning is more of a bigger blunder. He's a 2nd round pick.
Yeah.
He's not even producing in Europe.
It's crazy how a lot of the Hextall picks just...
Thanks for the correction, by the way, TTP Sports.
It's Amadeo.
Oh. Amadeo, thank you.
Hextall picks just kind of went under. Like, nobody really, like Rubtsov. Yeah. Everybody shit on him. And everybody's like, oh, well, the obvious ones are the stars. Yeah, no shit. You still could have. It doesn't matter if he was obvious or not. Everybody says that, they should have picked somebody else, but Patrick was the most obvious pick.
Yes.
So, what's your point?
He also had a connection to Brandon Wheat Kings.
Yeah, Shannon was on that team.
Yeah.
Brady Shannon.
Look, if we didn't get the 2nd overall pick, we wouldn't have gotten anybody probably. No. So,
right.
Can't wait to see what Bobby brings. Yeah, he's having a rebounding year. Exciting. Actually, a few guys are having pretty big years. Ronald Tard has got like 8 points in 6 games.
Ronald.
Ronnie.
I wish you're Ronnie. It's weird.
Mo, relax, dog. We're almost done. Who else is having? Connor McLennan is killing it. Elliot Denoyer is killing it.
Captain.
Yeah. There's another guy. What's his name? Owen McLaughlin. I think he's killing it as well.
McLaughlin.
Mm-hmm. Is that his name? Yeah, McLaughlin.
McLaughlin.
I think O'Brien's still injured. Jay O'Brien.
I have a friend who is.
No, it's not going to help you, bub. We're still going to finish.
BC right now, Argentina.
Oh yeah.
I went to grad school with him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's having a pretty solid year. Scored a couple goals.
All right.
He went.
Well, you're gonna hit the mic. Get out of here.
This past season he had injury issues, but he was looked at like a second rounder. So yeah.
All right.
It'd be cool to pick him up because he literally lives around the corner from me.
That would be cool. Get a good interview.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up. We're gonna hang out, and then we got the Flyers game in like a half hour. So,
have you any predictions? Do you think they win? Like score?
I hate predicting scores.
It's
impossible.
I know. I hate it too. I do.
I think the Flyers are the favorite. Let me just say that. I'm not a Vegas guy. I don't know the over/under. I don't even gamble. So,
I have no interest.
If you want to guess, you can.
I'm gonna say 4th right overtime.
I'm hoping 5-2 Flyers.
Empty netter? Or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
5-2 empty netter.
Okay.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah. Sure.
All right. Thank you everybody for listening. Please like, subscribe, share our stuff out. Actually, it's a humongous help. Follow us on Twitter, Wallach, and at Chris Marr _ Chris Mayer. And I said your name wrong again. Old habits. Anything else you want to say, Chris?
No, I go Flyers.
Go Flyers.
Yeah.
Don't panic.